this computer.
Great.
It's the
Okay.
first time I'm seeing like a 28 on a Zoom call. I'm like, oh my God.
Uh,
Exciting.
That's
was
right. That's
Okay. I've admitted all. I've hit the button. Everyone's coming in. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're just gonna wait a couple more minutes as a few more people come in, but just wanted to say a quick hello and a word of welcome as everybody starts to trickle in. Um, I've met many, but not all of you. But hi, I'm Rabbi Jonah Weiner. I'm gonna do like a real introduction in just a moment, but I think we're just gonna give it another 1 to 2 minutes before we really get going. But hello, it's great to see all of you. It's much more fun looking at a big email spreadsheet of everyone to talk to. Okay, in the interest of everyone's timing, oh yes, thank you so much for that note, Molly. If people didn't see in the chat, if you had the name of your school and your Zoom title, that would be really helpful for us. Thanks so much. In the interest of everybody's, time and all of those things, I'm excited. I think we're gonna get started right about now. So first, I want to say hello. Some of you I've seen before, and actually, know a little bit. For some of us, this is our first time meeting, so it's great to have a real human face to see rather than just a name on an email screen. This is a lot better for me. Welcome. This is wonderful. We do these about once a semester. And it's just great to be able to check in with everybody and sort of do what I think is the most important thing in the world, which is put our amazing students in front of you and give everyone the opportunity to sort of talk about our campus, our world, the Jewish community that exists at Brown, and really do some real question answer, hard stuff that uncovers all the useful, valuable things about why this is such a special place to be a Jewish student. If you want to rename yourself, by the way, if you just right click on your own Zoom image, rename should be at the bottom of that list. I'm sure there is some other way to do it, but that is the only way I've ever figured out how to do it. Several years of being on Yeshiva and Zoom still did not help me get better at it. I want to ask a few of the people who are on this call to just introduce themselves a little bit before we get going and really get into it. So I want to first, thank and then ask to introduce Bob, our board chair, the chair of the board of Brown Misty Hillel is here. Also, the managing director, Molly Goldmeyer, who for me is one to my left on Zoom, but she'll speak a little bit in just a moment. So first, Bob, I would love it if you could say a few words before we get going.
thank you very much. First of all, a shout out to Michael Courtney, who said you better schedule this pretty early in the month because it's a really, really busy month for all of us. So, thank you very much for joining. And more importantly, for joining, thank you for sending, you know, such fine students to Brown and to RISD. And in fact, we have 5 of our students, kind of on this Zoom call. And you're going to know what I mean. Some of you will know them because they graduated from your schools, but it's really an impressive kind of group. Um, I also want to thank all of you because you're dedicating your life to helping students. And that's the same with Molly Siegel from our admissions office. And this is kind of an event which is the admissions office and Brown Rizzi Hillel. And I believe Rabbi Mendel Laufer, who is our Chabad rabbi on campus, is going to join. He mentioned that he had a commitment. It would be kind of a little bit later. But thank you for what you all do day in, day out. And the way it was put to me when my children were at day school is that your job is to help your students stretch and grow. And we feel the same way, meaning when they come to campus, it's academically, it's socially, and it's Jewishly. So, thank you very much. Molly, we look forward to hearing from you. One of the things that I thought was just fantastic is Molly had, I think, 20 of her colleagues a couple of weeks ago at Brown Rizzi Hillel to take a tour, just to kind of spend more time with Rabbi Jonah and with Molly and our staff. And then she invited Molly and Rabbi Jonah over to present to all of the admissions, professionals. So it's fantastic because the admissions office cares a lot about Jewish students and not just at day schools and kind of the climate going on. So Molly, welcome. Um, and I think the one thing, the message from Brown RISD Hillel would give you is that we're investing heavily in what we can do for students. So, you hear more about this, but we've added 2 new staff professionals. Our budget's up 20% year over year, and that's also for enhanced programming. And in these very, very challenging times, I think our staff knew that the summer had to be really active. So, except for like a brief week's vacation, they were working week in and week out. What we can control are social events, religious events, and other. We can't control the environment. So we're very, very proud, speaking of the board, of our staff. And it's nice to have, I think many of you know Abby Doft, and that some of you know Joe Hollander and Fred Horowitz, who you don't see his face. All these are past presidents and very, very invested in working with you all. So with that said, thank you very much, Jonah.
Thanks so much, Bob. I really appreciate it. I want to turn it over to, confusingly, also Molly. There are two Mollys who are very important to this call. So the first of those Mollys, the managing director of Brenner's de Hillel, Molly Goldmeyer.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here with all of you. It's really great to meet you. Some of you I've met before and have had the chance to have conversations with, and other of you I'm just meeting today. So really appreciate you joining this call and being a part of this exciting conversation of Jewish life on College Hill. And I just want to start out by saying that both Rabbi Jonah and I are products of Jewish day school. So we spend so much time together thinking about what kind of infrastructure the Jewish students here on campus need, how we can be doing to support that, what we can be doing to support them. And it's something that we are always talking about, ways that we can be growing in that way. And especially with all of you here, I just want you to know that this is something that we spend a lot of time dedicating to make sure that Jewish students have everything they need on campus to thrive. And we're very lucky that we have wonderful partners in admissions and in the university and in the administration who work with us on all of these things. And Bob mentioned this, that we have so many exciting new things happening this year. We know that there's going to be some difficult and challenging days, upcoming with this year, but we are so excited about some of the changes that we've been able to make here over the summer, and some of the wonderful things about Brown RISD Hillel that I just want to highlight. So for some of you who have been to this call before, you might have heard, but we opened 2 kosher stations last year in the Ratty. So we have a meat station and a dairy station, and this is something that has been in the works for many years. But the fact that it just opened last year is such a powerful symbol to us of the university's investment in growing Jewish life, and it's something that we're really proud of, and it's really new. So just a symbol of the infrastructure that's growing. As Bob mentioned, we have a growing staff, and that's something that we're really excited about, finding more ways to be engaging different students on campus, to be meeting more students, making a broader impact, and continuing, of course, to strengthen our relationship with Mendel and Hani, our partners at Chabad right across the street. And so there's a few things that you'll hear from students that we're implementing this year, new mentorship and networking initiatives for students to see Brown RISD Hillel as a professional platform for them and all of their aspirations, and doing a lot of travel to Israel on missions, and some great global experiences, where we'll be later this year going to Argentina to be engaging with students at the Hillel of Buenos Aires in different conversations about global Jewish identity. So there's lots of great stuff going on. I just wanted to paint that picture before we launch into some of the student conversations, and just say that please don't ever hesitate to reach out to me if there's any way that I could be helpful for you or your students. And we're really, really grateful for the relationship that we've been able to develop with this community of counselors, and really looking forward to being in conversation, starting today and throughout the year. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Molly. I want to now invite the last of the non-student speakers to say a little bit more. Molly Siegel, I would love to hear a little bit from you, and thank you again so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much, and apologies for the Molly confusion. It's something that we deal with. But yeah, just to echo everything that's been said already, it's been so exciting to be working with Hillel. I am an admission officer, as been mentioned, but I'm also a Brown alum of class of 2023. So not too long ago, I was also very involved at Hillel. So it's really nice to be on this side of things and be able to help bridge stuff with our office and admissions, and making sure that we are reaching all kinds of Jewish students, especially day school students, and making sure that any questions that they have, we can answer. For all of you, I'm sure you'll be seeing some of my colleagues coming to your schools in the upcoming weeks. We're all out on travel right now. So if you see them, as many questions as you want to ask, that's what we're there for. And then on the less fun side of things, just wanted to make sure you guys know any new updates we have. So we're back to requiring standardized testing. So making sure that your students have that ACT or the SAT. And then excitingly, we're now fully need blind for all applicants. So it used to just be for domestic students, but for all applicants, international is now included. So if you have any international students, that will no longer play a role in their admission decision. And then just other fun updates that I think our students can also speak to. We have the new Lindemann Center for Performing Arts, which just opened. It's state of the art. It's beautiful. It's incredible, but lots of space for students who are interested and that type of thing. And then within the next year or so, we'll be opening a new school for international and public affairs. So if you have any students who are interested in either of those fields, those are some new updates to our campus. But also, if anyone has any questions that are specifically admission related, anything of the sort, please always feel free to reach out. I'm kind of the point person in our office, but I can also make sure that you're connected to whoever the representative is for your specific school, making sure that you're getting questions answered, anything like that, even if they don't come visit your school, making sure that you're in touch with whoever you want to be in touch with. So yeah, and I'm just looking forward to hearing from everyone as well. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Molly. Really appreciate it. Okay, I want to dive into a little bit. We're gonna do some questions that I have for students that I think will get them to share a little bit about their experiences at Brown, and then after a few minutes of that, hopefully turn it over to a Q&A where you get to ask them all the pressing things on your mind. So first, and also I want to say to the, 5 amazing students who've joined us on this call, you don't have to answer absolutely every question, but when you answer for the first time, it would be great if you could just say like who you are a little bit, what you're studying or thinking about studying, or maybe where you're from, all of those things. That would be wonderful. Okay, so the first question I have for any and all of you is what would be the way you would express what you think is so special about Brown? What's your pitch to students who aren't sure if Brown is right for them or thinking about it, in that way? I'm sure it's come up on a lot of students' radar as something they're considering. So what would you say is special about it in your mind?
I'm Tyler. I'm a sophomore. I'm a proud alum of SAR High School. I heard Ishai Rebo was there from Mr. Courtney in the chat, so that made me really jealous today, straight from Madison Square Garden. It's pretty cool. What I would say my favorite thing about Brown is, and this applies both religiously and in the broader campus environment, is that I think you really have the liberty to be who you want, pursue what you want, and express yourself how you want. So obviously that like manifests itself in the curriculum, right? You can study whatever you want. Everyone's doing like 30 million different random things with clubs and everything. And I've taken econ classes and history classes and poli-sci classes and science classes. Like there's just a wide range of what you can pursue in the classroom. And then I think just the general atmosphere walking around on campus, you feel it. It's just like this infectious kind of open environment that I can't even put into words. It's just like a wave that goes on campus. And that kind of carries to the religious side of things, where I think walking around the campus with the keep on your head, you feel comfortable and safe because everyone is just comfortable and safe expressing themselves how they want. So that's what I really love about Brown.
Yeah, I'll bounce off of that. My name is Noam. Hi, I'm a freshman. I'm from Heschel. I graduated from Heschel in 2023. And I think that adding on to what Tyler said, like the multifacetedness of people, I think that because, there is really no limit or very few limits to what you can study, that also encourages people to have a very diverse set of interests. And so that means that you can find basically every student, so far, every student that I've talked to has had like one very specific niche thing that they're really interested in and take it very seriously. And that's something that is accepted and very common here, that everyone will have these passions that aren't necessarily super mainstream and are, and have found the resources for them at this school. And I think that then again, that lends itself to Judaism. Me as someone who walks around with a kippah and has tzitzit, that's just like another cool facet of my identity and not something that I get specifically targeted for, but just is something rather that I can just add to my identity and people are totally okay with that. And so I think that's been really awesome.
Yeah, I could bounce off of Noam's point over there. My name is Ben Marcus. I'm a junior here at Brown studying biology and economics. Shout out bicultural. I see Miss Fernandez over there. I as a religious Jew on campus, I could really say the infrastructure here for Orthodox Jews, for religious students, is unbelievable. I'd say it's comparable, or if not better than any other school nationwide. We have an Eruv, we have kosher, right? Rabbi Jonah mentioned before. We have a brand new kosher kitchen that offers meat and dairy for lunch and dinner, which basically no other school does. We have daily minyan, we have endless learning opportunities, and I could say it's pretty special that 3 of the 5 students on this call are sitting in Hillel right now, because we just spent all of our time here and at Chabad. So it just really says something about our Jewish community, and it's truly thriving.
Lara, if either of you want to jump in, feel free, but if not, I'm happy to keep rolling.
I can add. I have a go-to answer when people ask what makes Brown special. Oh, sorry, I'll introduce myself. I'm Lara. I graduated from Frisch in 2020 and then went to Nishma, and I'm a senior at Brown studying ecology and evolutionary biology. What I think is so special about Brown is the culture and the community, because it's like very high level school, but it doesn't have that competitive nature that I feel like is really common at similar schools. I think partially due to like what Tyler was saying, that everyone's doing their own thing, but everyone's in their own class. Everyone wants each other to succeed, and everyone's so down to earth, and I really love that.
Thanks so much. My next question was actually, I think I don't remember to whom I was saying this, but I was talking about Brown to a prospective person, and they said I was the first person connected with the university who hadn't mentioned the open curriculum to them in my like spiel about why it's a great place to be. So what I want to ask all of you is what's something, you're on a call specifically with day school guidance, college guidance counselors who are doing this like really important work. Like, what is something that you think is important for them to know about Brown, right? What's something you wish, the person who was helping you decide or helping you figure out where you were going to be for 4 years had known about Brown that you'd want to share with them?
I can talk to that. Hi, I'm Leia. I'm from Boston. I went to GAN and I'm a sophomore. I would say something that people should know is, I think kind of general, but Jewish life in general is that, yeah, I graduated high school in 2022, and when I was going to GAN to Brown, people were kind of like, "Oh, like they don't have like the biggest, observant Jewish population. Like, are you sure that's a good idea?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, like I'm sure, I'm sure." And then since then, I mean, it's 2024 now, and like I think I was talking to Ben Marcus about this earlier, that Brown is the only Ivy whose Jewish observant Jewish community is actually increasing, and observant Jewish life at Brown is actually incredible. Shabbos are amazing, Onegs are amazing, and I think there's a very strong core group of people, and there's a lot of people that are kind of involved in like it's not exclusionary. But I think that's also another great thing about it. So I think just like to take that idea that Brown doesn't have the biggest Jewish observant community out of your head, because it's just not true anymore. And it's been incredible. So yeah.
I want to add that like how supportive Brown as a school has been of our religious observance. So like religious accommodations or housing is really great. I've had a kitchen for the past 3 years, so I can cook kosher food in my dorm. Freshman year, I pressed to live with a Jewish roommate. I was granted that. In terms of like Hakeem and tests, my professors have all been super accommodating. When they have had tests scheduled, they've been able to move them and work with me on that. And like classes that aren't necessarily recorded, the professors are very open to meeting outside that, and like attendance doesn't count and all those kind of things. We're just like, they were super understanding, and they try to be aware of this and help you out.
I'll add that, well, 2 things. First of all, that I'm a freshman, but I just took a gap year. I went to Yeshivat Ma'ale Gilboa, and before I did that, I visited Brown, and I had a certain level of practicing and observance and background. And I looked at Brown and Brown's Jewish community, and it felt very comfortable for me, and I was very excited. And also, you're right, it wasn't super big, and something that really appealed to me was I was involved in the Jewish community at Heschel, and I saw Brown as a community that I could really step up and be a leader in. And then I went to yeshiva, and I came back, and some of my practices are a little bit different, but all in all, I came here and still everything that I need Jewishly, religiously, I'm still very supported. And so I think that it's a really important point that Brown's Jewish community is able to cater to students who do have a yeshivish background or went to yeshiva or have Orthodox background and Orthodox observance, and also students who feel very comfortable being Jewish culturally and have that kind of connection. And that's both very supported. And my second point is that what you won't see at any other school, I think, and you would, I think is unique to Brown, is the incredible relationship between the Hillel and the Chabad. Brown's Jewish community really does not feel like a bunch of different organizations or different groups that are separate from each other. The Hillel and the Chabad have a really great relationship. Students are very involved in both. You don't really have to pick and choose here. And even students in different minanim, different denominations of different styles of prayer, different styles of Jewish community, it all comes together. It's all one big Jewish community. And that's been really, really beautiful.
Yeah, adding on to that, I think what also is really special about the Jewish community at Brown is that it really is student-led and student-driven. We have committee meetings where we discuss everything that we're going to like plan. The gabbis are students, people davening are students, people reading Torah are students. It really is like kind of our shul in a way on Shabbos and throughout the week, which I really love, and it makes every person feel like they have a place in it and makes every person able to kind of carve out their own role. And I definitely think like it makes me so much more engaged than I possibly would have been at any other school. The fact that I really get to like assert my role within like the Jewish community. It's really awesome. It's my favorite shul in the world is at Brown Hillel. So it's great.
That's so great to hear. I'm just beaming. It's nice to, it's nice to get a show with you, Tyler. Um, I wanna turn it's been so wonderful to sort of dwell on all the like most amazing and wonderful pieces about our community and the last little bit. I think that everybody on this call is aware and intensely feels that it's been a complicated year for the Jewish community. It's been a complicated approaching a year at this point for the Jewish community. I guess I want to ask what are some ways that that's shown up in your life, and how has sort of the Jewish community writ large and Hillel specifically, if that's something that's come up for you, been able to be a source of support and strength?
Yeah, I think I could speak on this a little bit. Obviously, throughout college campuses, in like every college campus in the world has had relatively difficult time this past academic year. I'd say at Brown, we're obviously, I mean, all the Ivy League schools, except for Dartmouth, really had difficult times. And our administration handled the situation relatively well. All Jewish students on campus feel physically safe. I'd say at the end of the day, it's just this, by the way, this academic year, the start of the semester has been great. There hasn't been anything on campus. We've had nothing has been reminiscent of last semester, but that being said, obviously this is not over. Look, I just say any campus that you're going to send your students to are going to have tension, Israel-related tension on campus. And Brown is not immune to that, although I think we handle it very well. And that being said, as this point I spoke on earlier, our Jewish community, especially our religious Jewish community, is thriving. And we have a phenomenal network of students that rely on each other to get through this. Hopefully, we'll get through it sooner rather than later. But if you have a student that wants to go stay in Israel, then I think colleges could be okay without them. They should go help out over there. But that being said, I do think we handle the situation very, very well here at Brown.
I fully agree with what Ben just said. And for me, it's also present in the classroom. I'm a Middle Eastern Studies concentrator. So I'm in a lot of classes that are, dominated by majority Arab Muslim students. I've been studying Arabic. I started at SAR and have continued at Brown. And what I'd say is that like there definitely is a tension, and there definitely is, like a large and vocal pro-Palestinian voice on campus, but it never ventures into a place where I feel unsafe or endangered at all. I just started a class, Middle Eastern Studies class, with the Palestinian Studies professor at Brown. And like the first class, the assignment was to, speak about yourself. Why are you here? And I put a big picture of me marching with an Israeli flag with SAR on the Israeli Day Parade. And the reception in class was definitely like a little bit like shocked and tense, but I think I had real conversations with those students after. And in no way do I feel like there's going to be retribution or people sort of like view me in like a lesser light, maybe a different light, but not a lesser light. So I think there's just a general culture of tolerance and of learning here that is strong. And yes, that obviously can be learning things that are, flawed and biased and against Israel, but it never ventures into a place where I feel like I am at risk or even like my academic standing is at risk.
I can talk a little bit about this because I think the elephant in the room, I don't know how much you guys know about this, is the ACRM stuff, the divestment vote that's coming up later this month or next month, early next month. So basically, quick update on that. Oh, 1 second, here my do not disturb on. Okay, is that we had our ACRM, there was the ACRM divestment, like the SJP, Students for Justice in Palestine, and Brown Divest Coalition presented their stance, basically their presentation to students and faculty on the Financial Advisory Committee. And then last week, myself and a few other students presented our stance, the anti-divestment stance, to the State Advisory Committee, which was recorded, and people from all across the Brown community were watching it. And I think what everyone's been saying is so true, is that Brown is a very welcoming, open, accepting community. It also has been difficult, right? It's, of course, every college is going to have its difficulties. But I think that Brown has been very good at supporting the Jewish community in this regard. And our ACRM meeting, I would say, went well. I hope went well. And I don't know about all the other students and faculty on this call, but I do not doubt that Brown is going to, I do not doubt that Brown is going to keep investing in Israel. It's 1% that it does invest. So I know that that's kind of a big thing to talk about, but I don't think it's a very big problem right now. And things have been much better this semester so far. Knock on wood.
Thank you guys so much. I mean, both for those answers and also specifically for all the work I know you personally put into that, Leah. I saw you sort of like really working away at it a huge amount. So just expressing some real gratitude for that. I would say that when I don't know about you guys as in your work in the way that it touches college, but also for you guys as students. Whenever I talk to any parents of anyone, of a college student, not of a college student, I'm Canadian. When I talk to my parents, friends who have not had college age kids in decades, right? Their, I think, perception of our campus community and every campus community to some degree is of like high levels of anxiety, stress, this invading every possible moment of everyone's life all of the time. Maybe that discounted by 10-15%. I guess I just want to ask a little bit if any of you feel like elaborating a little bit more, like what does campus community feel like to you? Like is that true of your experience? What does it feel like to just be a student engaged in, like heavily engaged in Jewish community at Brown look like for you?
Is your question relating to Israel or just in general?
However you want to take it. I would say that when I talk to the people who I'm imagining and who I more than imagine I'm talking to, I think that they perceive Israel and everything about Israel as sort of taking over the entire student experience. But I would love to hear about your just experience being a student at Brown.
Okay. So I think there were moments last year when it was all we were talking about and every group chat was blowing up constantly. But those were singular moments and the rest of the time was fine. And also in those moments, I really felt so close to the community at large. Like students I don't necessarily talk to as often. We all were like really supporting each other and there for each other. And like the late night DPS calls were still together on I think the rest of the time, especially as a STEM person, it does not come up. It's not impact my daily life in a good way. That like, I know it comes up to Tyler's classes, but in my classes, people are there to learn chemistry and biology, and they're not trying to impose their political views on us. And that's really great. That kind of stays outside the classroom. And in general, it's just like a really great community I feel so supported by, and we're all here for each other.
Yeah, I think it's actually kind of amazing because growing up, going to day school, I know all my friends that either went to all the day schools across this call and more always complain about like day school this, day school that. And I find it pretty funny that now that I'm at Brown, I'm essentially doing a day school schedule with all of my friends, and everyone is basically going to day school again. We have our times where we go learn Judaics during the day, right? As like a group, we all go to lunch together, we go to breakfast together, we eat dinner together, right? As a Jewish community. It's like I'd say my experience at Brown so far is essentially in a continuation of going to bicultural in every way, shape, and form. And it's pretty amazing, especially having gone to yeshiva, just amplifying those feelings of being in a nice Jewish community. The infrastructure at Brown really allows for that continuation, which I think is really invaluable and ironic, given that every Jewish high schooler, for the most part, is just like, let me go to college, let me go to Israel, and let me get out of the system. But it's so ironic, and I mean, I guess I'm thankful for it. But that's exactly like I'd say the best analogy to what we have here at Brown in terms of community.
I think also part of the beauty of the community at Brown is we are so tight knit and we're so close together. But there's also on the broader campus a kind of recognition of who we are and appreciation of it. Brown's 24% Jewish, a lot of New Yorkers too, so they all are around a lot of Jews growing up. So amongst the broader campus community, I think people kind of recognize and are aware of it. And even for those who aren't necessarily raised with it, they kind of get it. I'm living right now with two kids from Mumbai who had never met a Jew before coming to Brown, and now they're my roommates. So I think everywhere across campus, we're kind of like recognized and seen, and we're definitely not cowering or hiding, which is amazing and wonderful in any capacity, whether that be Israel, religious observance, asking for accommodations, investing in more communal resources. I think we are really proud, loud, and strong, which is beautiful, and it's everywhere.
I would also add on to that, Brown has such an incredible Jewish community. It's also, you don't have to pick and choose, right? Something that's great about Brown is that you can be in the Jewish community. Like I go to davening every morning and I keep Shabbos and everything, but I also am able to spend time with friends who aren't Jewish, right? And like the kosher dining corner is in the main dining hall, right? So you don't have to kind of like segment yourself off from the rest of the community, from the Brown community, which is a really, really great kind of middle ground. So you're able to be fully observant in any way that works for you, but you're also able to participate as a college student and kind of get the Brown experience.
Amazing. Thanks, guys. Okay, I have my last question before I throw this open to, Q&A, anything that people would like to ask, which is just, however long or short, whether it's about this, general specific area we've been in for a moment or anything about your experience writ large. I would just ask, what's something that's been a wonderful or pleasant surprise about your experience at Brown so far?
I don't know how Derek is answering, but I feel like I have to talk about last spring's break in Israel. We had 25 students in Israel. It was the most incredible time ever. We were volunteering. We bonded a lot. We learned a lot about Israel in our time there. And it was truly an incredible opportunity through Hillel.
I think just what I said before, that every person I'm meeting has something that they're passionate about that is not necessarily super mainstream, sometimes very niche. And it's been like that then breeds curiosity into kind of discovering what each person has that they're super passionate about. And so kind of actually bouncing off what Leah said before, that means that like I've found now been meeting a lot of people who are really interested in my religious identity. And maybe that's because I present a certain way, but also just I think a lot of people are, I think there's just the culture here of people being curious about each other's identities. And actually I have two of my non-Jewish friends I think are coming to Kabbalat Shabbat this upcoming week because I've been talking so much about it. So that's been a really nice surprise.
Yeah, along those lines, the most like really amazing memory I have at Brown, we have a late night dining hall here called Joe's, which is open till 2 a.m. And they have little like kosher takeout containers. And it was during Ramadan, so they also had little like suhoor containers for Ramadan breakfast for iftar. And I remember I went at like 1:30 in the morning to get my little kosher container, and I saw like a table of kids who I knew from my Arabic class having like their late night meal during Ramadan. And we just sat there for like half an hour, and they were asking me all these questions about Judaism, and I was asking them about Islam. And it really just felt like in the midst of all of this like craziness on campus that we kind of found common ground through like shared passions and interests, both being like religious people from religious communities. And that was really beautiful. And I think that speaks to a lot of what's possible at Brown. I think our environment is such that even despite all the headlines and all that you might see, people are just really genuinely curious, and they're curious in a way that is kind of without boundaries or barriers because of the way the school is structured, because of the people that the school attracts. And that just creates the most wonderful environment.
Yeah, I could also speak on the fact that Tyler actually mentioned this before, that everything here is student run, which I really was not expecting. And at Hillel, if you want something, the Hillel staff will make it happen. So it's just something that speaks to the community, showing that the active, thriving community we have now is what the students want, and we're making it happen. So it's pretty amazing to see, and also just reinforces the point of how strong we are.
Thank you so much, guys. All right, yeah, let's move to the open, question. Oh, yeah, Bob.
Can I ask you a favor? First of all, I want to do a quick brag. I hope this is not too much information, and then excuse me, I've got to run to a memorial service. But the biggest brag is about the students are here, and they can get a lot more granular. So for instance, at our board meeting, and we have 47 board members. We have 5 student trustees on our board. Molly Goldmeyer, our managing director, Rabbi Josh Bolton, our executive director, spent 40 minutes going through specific programs. Month of September, month of October, what we're doing to memorialize October the 7th, and many things on the joy side of the ledger. So in fact, if any of you all want to have these conversations to go through the specific learning opportunities, you should be in touch with Jonah, you should be in touch with Molly or some of the students. Secondly, Laura raved about the Israel trips. Well, on her trip, we had the second most number of students of any college, except for Penn, on this trip. And we, in addition to Birthright, we have 2 on the schedule, including a joint Chabad and BRH joint trip. And we have 2 other ones that we'd like to do, but it's subject to funding and priority. Thirdly and then I think I'll be quiet after this one, since Rabbi Mendel isn't here, I think there's a certain student first culture. It seems like I can get our staff, except if they're saying I'm having a coffee with a student. But in fact, Chabad is doubling its footprint because there are so many students that are going into Chabad. And we have started phase 1 of a major renovation because, thank God, it's busy. And I think you've gotten that sense. So just want to make sure any conversations that you want on a more granular level after the questions come to our staff, students, or any of us. And again, thank you very much. And, just for you, your families, and your students, may it be a wonderful year.